cool if we had a mount for this thing. Welcome to this week's show, the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, the Crazy Gentleman, and this week's show is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Performance. BareKnucklePerformance.com, home of all the best, highest quality American-made parts for your FXRs, choppers, baggers, Sportsters. Did I say FXRs?
You could say it again.
FXRs. Everything Harley Davidson, dude. Highest quality shit. A lot of his parts in this shop right here.
Yep. American-made, too.
That's it. All 100% made in America, man.
Yep.
Also, oh, there goes that. You got me all sidetracked. Simbita Custom Knives, Simbita_custom_knives on Instagram. I'm just going to set this up here so we don't kick that over again. Yeah, hit him up, man, Evan, for the highest quality American-made knives. You know the deal. What the fuck, dude? Yeah, just don't kick that over.
Yeah.
We got some technical difficulties here.
Of course.
What is going on?
It might have hit something when it fell.
All right, we're good. Yeah, hit him up. Evan Simbita, you know the deal. There we go. That's tight enough. That's cool. I don't want to squish the fucker. There we go.
Real rigged up.
Yeah.
Real rig shit.
Super
Perfect.
pro here. Super pro. Yeah, and also Lexan-moto.com. Punch in the code word crazy at checkout for 15% off for all of the music in your helmet. And that's it, man. Oh, and also thank you to my producer, Whiskey Eye. And that's it. I think that's it. I always fuck it up, but whatever.
Could edit it in later on.
Yeah, we're just going to end the whole episode right here.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Rob. It's good seeing you. Bandana Rob.
Yeah, dude.
Peace out, Cub Scout, and I'll see you on the road.
Hell yeah, man. Fucking Brooklyn, New York.
Yep.
With the FXR Kingpin.
Well, I don't know about that, but I fake it till I make it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I don't know. You're not even an FXR Kingpin anymore. You're a fucking BMW kid.
Yeah, I'm a motorcycle guy. That's why I always tell people, like, they're like, oh, open a shop again, this and that, like your own place. And if I ever do it, it's just going to be called Two Wheelers. There's a Two Wheelers out west.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, older dude, but...
I think that's Arlen Fatland.
Arlen Fatland,
yeah.
And he built some bad bikes. I mean, he's an older guy
he's a
now,
legend.
but
yeah.
One of the Hamsters, and I think he's one of the Hamsters, whatever.
I think so, yeah.
Built some sick bikes, older style shit, but yeah, because I work on everything.
So, dude, if you opened up another shop,
which I wouldn't, but
okay.
we could go, we could fantasize, we could talk, we could eat some mushrooms and get real trippy, whatever you want to do, man.
Would you? I know you. I'm just joking. I know you're into the BMWs and shit. And,
absolutely.
Would you work on anything or just BMWs and Harleys?
No, I work on almost everything now.
I know, but that's kind of because you're like, I don't want to say forced to, but...
No, not at all.
No?
Like, nah.
Okay.
So the shop I work at now, which we're filming this, Vax Moto in Park Slope. The owner, Justin's a great guy. I know him a long time. And actually, I used to do a lot of his Harley work years back. Like engine work and stuff like that. When I had my own place, he would send some of the work down to me.
Right.
That's how I know him. And when I closed my shop, I was just not working, kind of chilling for a couple years, and then I just ended up going to work for him. And yeah, here we are. I guess, geez, probably 5-6 years now I work for Justin.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
No, I bet you longer.
But his whole thing was like, he even asked me, he was like, because there was another mechanic that worked for him, Ross, who's an awesome fucking mechanic. He owns a shop in Bushwick now, his own place, Lurk Shop. Check it out. It's fucking phenomenal shop. He's a
Is he doing just Hondas or he does everything?
No, so
there?
Ross does almost, he's like me, almost everything.
Okay.
You know, it just gets to the point with some of the newer stuff, it's a nightmare to work on if you're like an independent shop. And, you know, most of those people with the new shit got warranties. But we work on everything here. I mean, KTM, BMW, KTM, Harley, Honda, Suzuki, all the major Jap bikes, pretty much all the major European bikes. You know, but like if somebody's got like a 21 or 22, or even like a 18, 19 brand new GS 1250 BMW, and they got like some weird motor in the noise in the motor, I'm not even gonna bother looking at it. It's like, well, first of all, dude, you probably got a warranty. This is a $30,000 bike. Like, I don't know why you're here. Like, if you're stuck, I'll help you. Like, I've shut down the shop to help people. That's like my thing. But if it's not like that, just go to Beamer. Like, send it to Max's, But for the most part, I work on everything.
Right.
And Ross Lurk Shop, same thing. He works on almost anything, but he's more towards the metric side, where I'm more towards the Harley side. He don't work on BMWs at all.
Okay.
He'll do tires.
Was he a partner at the last location?
No, so me and
split off.
No,
or?
so what happened was Justin owns the place. Me and Ross were the mechanics. Ross was more the metric guy. I was more the Harley guy. We kind of meet in the middle. He just moved on, got his own space, and now he's got a big, beautiful, awesome shop in Bushwick. Kind of like how this is with the 24-hour parking stuff that we do here. Mm-hmm. He's got the same thing going on. Yeah, and then when he left, but when I originally went to work for Justin at Vax Moto, it was a different location, but whatever. He asked, he was like, do you want to work on the metric stuff? Because Ross works here and he does the metric stuff. I don't know, and I was like, no, I'll work on everything, because I had metric bikes before I had Harleys.
Okay.
My first motorcycles weren't Harleys. I had Japanese bikes. I was actually really heavy into them for a few years, like in the late 90s.
What kind of Jap bikes are we talking? Like sport bikes, like this GSXR?
Yeah, they didn't look like that. In 1998, that fucking thing looked like a spaceship. If you rolled out with it, somebody probably would have lost their mind. But yeah, like...
I had 90 sport bikes also.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So my big thing was Suzuki, oil-cooled Suzukis, oiler boilers, 1127 slingshot type stuff. I had a really fast, a legit 91 slingshot, and I had two 711s.
Not a slingshot like these fucking kids think of today.
Nah, yeah.
Not
so,
a gay
yeah, I forget
three-wheeler.
this thing's filming us. But, yeah, so... 86, I think, 85, 86, the oil-cooled Jixes. There was the 750s and 1100s. Late, I think 89 to 91, 92, those were the bad ones. They were no joke.
Right.
They were like a Widowmaker type of bike. And so I had a legit 91 Orient Express cam, did the head. Dude. Yeah, that was a on the regular 180 mile an hour bike.
Right.
90s technology,
right.
Which is still fast, And then I started drag racing it. I made it faster. I sold it. I crashed it, that type of shit. And then I had a 711, which is, you took the 750, which was a little smaller bike, shorter wheelbase, not as big, and you put the 1100 motor in it, and it was a 711. And those were bad fucking bikes.
Yeah.
And my boy Flacco, rest in peace Flacco, he was on it with that shit. We used to go to Philly and drag race on Front Street, $5,000 fucking races and shit. And, but I was like 16, 17 at the time.
Damn.
Yeah, probably from like 16 to like 18, 19, I was real heavy into the Jap bike stuff.
Okay.
Racing them, riding them. We used to ride to Daytona like 125 miles an hour the whole way. People like, they do the 1K in a day stuff and all the iron butt stuff. We used to meet at the Molly Pritchard rest area in New Jersey, which is like right on the turnpike.
Yep.
I think we used to meet there like 8 or 9 o'clock at night on like a Friday, and we'd make it to Daytona. And from there, I think it was like 998 or 1002. It was just over 1,000 or under 1,000, and we'd do it in like 11 hours, 12 hours. You know what I mean? But like once you hit Virginia, at 12 o'clock at night, we'll say, there ain't nothing going on, and it's like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, when you fly by them at 1:30 and it's fucking 2 a.m.
They first of all, they're sleeping.
Right.
That troop is sleeping.
Right.
And he's tapping on that fucking radar to make sure it's working correctly. Because when he looked, but we'd roll hard. We'd go with I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 guys. And yeah. So we used to rip those fucking things. We used to make it from Coney Island to like Seaside Heights, New Jersey in like 30-something minutes. Which is like kind of like Tom's River area, I think, right? We used to rip them.
Right.
And, guys died and shit. And I really didn't get out of them because of that. I just, moved on to Harleys, whatever.
Sick, man. How old were you when you got first Harley? You must have still been in your young 20s, because I remember I sent you a picture of your FXR when you built it in Queens. We didn't know each other yet. This was like 2007. I mean, you were already in. We were both already into Harleys.
Yeah, I mean, I got into Harleys.
I was in my young 20s. You're
the crazy thing is, like, if people know who I am or whatever, know my shovel head that I rode for years, which is like the red with the white flame bike, but it was originally brown, spray painted. That was really my first real Harley.
Okay.
I had a regular shovel head for like a swing, stock like Super Glide, real short thing, like maybe 6 months before that. And then I got a chopper.
Okay.
And which that was a whole crazy thing, and I've had that bike. So that chopper I have now is basically my second real Harley. And I've had it since 2000. I had that bike 23 years.
Damn.
Went to jail course of it, got it taken away by state troopers at the rendezvous, so people, like, random dudes hit me up to buy that bike, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, you'd have to, like, and one guy's local who lives in Park Slope here. He's always been like, you want to sell that bike? Like, when it was spray painted. And a couple other people have asked me, like, you want to sell that bike? And once in a blue moon, like, if they'll hit me up, like, randomly, like, I don't see you riding that bike. Like, well, we don't ride together, and I don't post fucking social media pictures every day, like, that type of shit, but I ride it. Anyway, I'll throw like a crazy number at them, and one or two of them have been like, yeah, all right, I could do that. And I'm like, man, do I fucking sell this bike right now? And I never do, My old lady's like, fuck those guys, just put that fucking thing in the living room.
Yeah,
like, so, but yeah, so in my 20, like in 2000, when I was like 19, 20 is when I first got my bike.
Okay.
And I didn't have that bike for almost a year and a half. Like 01 into 02, because like I said, I got it taken away and then got it back from fucking New York State. Yeah, so that's a whole podcast in itself. But it was originally a 48 pan.
Yeah.
It wasn't a cone shovel. It was originally a 48 pan. I fucking smoked the motor twice real fast. And what happened was I was riding with guys who all had stroker shovel heads at the time, like all these like Brooklyn older dudes, and they were like, yeah, what are you doing? And I was 20 years old whipping that thing to keep up with them. And these guys are on 96-inch, 98-inch shovel heads. And I smoked the motor twice real fast. And I'm like, I got to get this fucking thing out of this bike. And I bought a bottom end from some guy, had a top end done by Doug Fredericks out of Garrison Beach, who's like, dude's like an uncle to me, second dad type of dude. Anyway, he did the top end for me, caught it, set everything up for big bore and stroke. And I had this sick 98-inch motor ready to go. And that second time I smoked the motor, I was like, fuck this thing. And I pulled it out of the bike, chopper, belt drive, fucking an hour you pull a motor. So pulled the motor, put my 98-inch in, got it running. And then like the next weekend was the Harley Rendezvous. And I rode up there and partied my balls off and wanted to go for a good ride around the lake with some dudes. And we come around this turn and they got a fucking spot check for stolen bikes. And the dudes that would, like, the auto theft guys were complete fucking jerk-offs. And, there's, like, gray-haired dudes on brand, this was, 2000. So, a 2000 Electric Glide, guy's probably in his 70s with his wife on the back. Stock bike riding around the lake. Right. They're spraying the fucking frame and the cases down with brake cleaner, checking numbers. And one of the old dudes I was with just looked at me. Actually, my brother-in-law, who just passed away, rest in peace, PJ, he was with me, and but his bike was kind of legit. The other dude I was with, Knucklehead, was legit, and my bike was legit. I mean, there was nothing stolen with it. Problem was, registration in my pocket said 48. And if you know motorcycles, you look at a cone shovel, that ain't a 48, know? And these were auto theft cops. These weren't some state troopers just like looking for guys with no insurance or whatever. So we pull up, and they were kind of like, it was a whole Mr. Madness looking at each other, and they kind of like, pulled off. I pulled over, they pulled over, and as soon as they took our Reggies, the guy was like, okay. Got to me, he was like, nah, push that bike over there, and they ended up taking it from me.
Oh.
Yeah, and I tried, and my thing was I didn't get nuts because I guess I did something wrong, but the bike wasn't stolen.
Right.
I got an MSO in my house. It was the STD case motor. I got an MSO in the house for this motor, and I got fucking, and it was a Paco frame. Before they were Paco, I think they were D&D, so they didn't do numbers on the frame then. It was a 4-speed, high polished, so the fucking case didn't have no numbers on it. Might have even been an old aftermarket case that didn't have numbers. So the only number on the bike was the 48 number on the cases, which were gone.
Gone.
That motor's in my house.
Right.
So these fucking guys take my bike, you know, and I'm like, I'll get it back in a couple days. And it didn't work like that. They had it for weeks. I kept calling. And finally they were like, yeah, we need you to come up here. Because what happened was I got arrested up by the rendezvous. So the crime was committed up there. So the bike was up there. So now for me to deal with it, I had to go up there. So they're like, we need you to come up here and fill out a statement, and we're just going to go over a couple things, and that'll be it. And I'm like, I'm going to get the bike? And they're like, yeah. So at the time, I had like a Cutlass with a big block. So I'm like, well, that don't help me. So I had to rent a van. I go up there, and as soon as I walk in there, they got like tape recorder on the desk, asking me all these jerk-off questions. Like, you're from Brooklyn. You got to know somebody who steals stuff and this and that. And I'm like, I immediately knew. I was like, yo. I've been in like some wild situations and I didn't feel scumbag like this.
Right.
Like I had guns pulled on me like, I might die right now. And I didn't feel like snaked as this. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, you could have told me what was going on and I would have just took a Greyhound up here. I got a van in the parking lot. I paid like $300 or $400 for it because I was like 20 at the time. You know what I mean? Like they didn't, I think my car didn't even have insurance, so they don't want to like just rent you a van. You know what I mean? It was a whole thing. And they charged me with like a tag job, basically, because they were saying that number don't match the number. And I'm like, yeah, bro, that's not how that works. Like, you guys are auto theft. I don't know where the fuck they get, like, how you became auto theft, but you two jerk-offs are, like, that number isn't even a number. That's a serial number. That's not a VIN number.
Right.
And I'm like, even if it was, like, a 48 don't have a number on the frame. He's like, well, whoever... they whacked the numbers off this frame. Like, I'm like, yeah, bro, this fucking frames don't have numbers. Yeah, you know, but what are you gonna do? It's the law. You know what I mean? Get your head blown off. You know, I'm in
You're
a
lucky
building.
you even got the bike back.
I actually didn't get the bike back.
Right.
And I wish I knew the guy's name because I would shout him out through this whole fucking thing.
Right.
I called 1-800. If you ever have problems, call 1-800 Biker Law, like an Easy Rider, because those dudes are legit.
Okay.
Dude, first phone call, he's like, yeah, Easy Rider, 1-800 Biker Law, all that shit. We're based out of California. But we'll call you, we'll have somebody call you, we'll call you, whatever. And they got a guy that was like with them or whatever, but lived in Westchester. Okay. I never met this dude. I never went to his office or nothing. Every week I was on the phone with him. Boom, boom, boom. And he told me, he was like, yo, if you would have called me earlier, I might have been able to get your bike back. But there's too much stuff in the works now. Like, you went up there, you signed a statement, you did it, but I didn't think I was losing the bike. You know what I mean? I thought, I got an STD motor now. I'm going to get a ticket for improper registration, because that's really all it is. There ain't nothing stolen. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like if you took your Camry plates and put them on your Blazer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nothing's stolen, so what do I care? But they were trying to make a thing. And then I found out through him, he was like, yeah, they're trying to make a thing because you're 20 years old and they want this bike. So what happens is it's going to go to some fucking room for 2 years. Then it's going to go to some fucking auction. Right. And cousin Bob's going to come and buy it.
Right.
And now, you know, this guy's probably got every fucking thing they want. So he found the auction it was at for me. And luckily, it was like a public auction. A little fucking thing, yeah. And, yeah. My father-in-law, basically my old lady's dad, who wasn't my father at the time, he was my buddy PJ's dad, always had custom vans. Always had sick, high-top custom vans. So we took one of his vans, drove up like 8 or 10 deep to this fucking auction, and I had pictures of me riding the bike, you know what I mean? And we just kind of chilled by the bike, and every time somebody would come look at it, I'd be like, hey, man, you trying to get this bike? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I would give them the short version, not this fucking 20-minute version.
Basically, like, you. Dude, please leave this bike alone.
Show them pictures of me on the bike, me, painting. And they were like, don't worry about it, kid. You know what I mean? I was 19, 20 years old. I was 19 at the time. I wasn't even 20.
Right.
And everybody was cool. And it was funny because this fucking, I'll never forget it, this Bronco pulled up, and this dude pulled out, jumped out, tattooed from his fucking throat down, like the last dude in this parking lot you want to have a problem with. And I'm like, yo, we're going to have to stomp this guy out. Look at this fucking guy. He's like as big as the Bronco, came over, he's looking at the bike. And like I said, I gave him the short story, and he was like, ain't nobody leaving this fucking auction with this bike except you. I was like, yo, this guy's on our team right now. So it was sick. And out of all the people there, this like one weaselly little cocksucking guy bid on it when it went up for auction. Because they call, we sat there for hours, and finally they got to the bikes. It was like, a dozen bikes or whatever. My bike came up, and the craziest thing, not the craziest thing, but the fucked up part was they started at 20,000. I almost fucking had a heart attack. They're like, oh, 20,000. I looked at all my boys, but they just do that, in case whatever. And they went 20, 15, 10, 5, 2, 1. And now I'm like, yo, and my boy's like, yo, you got to bid on this thing because they're going to realize something's up. Like, nobody's bidding on this thing. So they went to 500. I bid on it. This fucking guy, I'm going to give me like 550 or 600. It was actually 550. It went $50 increments. 550, doing all that shit. This fucking guy sticks his number up from like behind his wife, like literally like this. Yo, like 20 people looked at him like, what the fuck are you doing? He ducked down 600 and I was the last bidder. And in the end, I mean, listen, they had my bike for a year, a little more, but I got it back with a state number and title. Oh, so now my cone motorbike was titled.
Oh, so that's part of the deal. If the public gets it back, they got to give a legal bike back.
Yeah, like there's no title somewhere for that bike.
Dude, that's awesome.
Because that bike had no number. Right. So now they got to issue a number, like a stolen recovery, that yellow sticker. Right. Or if you built a bike and took it to New York State for the inspection in Queens or whatever, wherever you go, right. That number, that's like the number I got with that bike. So I was like, yeah, no doubt. Now I got a title and a number on this frame. Suck my dick. See you later.
Sick.
And what more fucked up from them taking my bike was I got charged with false filing of an instrument. That's what it is. That's basically the legal term for a tag job. Okay. So I got charged with that, and I got charged with that in Albany. So for that whole year, my bike was up in some fucking storage room because they couldn't do the auction because of the winter, because they're outdoors. I was going to court in Albany every month. They would not dismiss it, they would postpone it. I had a legal aid. I was like, I ain't getting a lawyer for this shit. They wouldn't show up. The legal aid would change. It was all type of shit. It's like 4 months it went on. And then I'm like, yo, it's about to start snowing in like the next month. I live in Brooklyn. I drive 4 hours up here for this court case every fucking month. I ain't going to be able to do it when it snows. So you could just issue a warrant for me now because I'm not coming next month when it's snowing. And they were like, no, we'll postpone the case for the winter. I'm like, what? They did. I went to court like 5 or 6 times, and I went to the same courtroom and had the same judge every time. I had different legal aids. The DA was the same the whole time. She was trying to put it to me. She wanted to give me 2 years. And it was a fucked up situation. Like, my mother was getting stressed out at the time. She was like, blah, 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 and she thinks I'm like lying to her, like, and I'm like, no, like, this is legit. And other friends were like, you should have did this and that. And I'm like, yo, cuz, like, you're not here right now. I'm in this fucking courtroom in Albany once a month. I know what's going on. Like, right. And I don't want to pay the money, like whatever, 10 grand to get a lawyer, because then I'm like, well, then they're going to look at me like...
You another bike for that. You just be like, fuck it.
Well, I wasn't worried about bikes, dude. I was going to go up the river to fucking prison for 2 years, Right. But I looked at it as like, if I spend money on a lawyer, they're going to be like, this guy's spending money on a lawyer, maybe, so... I let it roll with the legal aid for a little while. That shit got crazy. They postponed the case. Finally, when I went, but in the end, what happened was I went like 6 or 7 times by the time I was done. And finally, the judge called me up. Like, he's like, what's going on? No lawyers, no legal aid, nothing. No DA. And I told him the quick version, like, this is all I did. I changed the motor to another motor. The one motor's aftermarket. The one motor's Harley. Yeah. The Harley motor back then is what has your VIN. The aftermarket number just has a serial number. They took the bike. I got charged with, nothing was stolen. And
I'm gonna just adjust this mic, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move it. I feel like it's crashing. Yeah, all right, cool.
And he was like, all right. And in the end, I went back one more time. And when I got the ticket that day for leaving the courthouse, it was a different address. Like, they give you time and, whatever, like time and what you got to be, what room. It was a different address altogether. And when I went that 6th time or whatever, we got a little technical difficulties.
Hey, no, you're good.
When I went that was actually last time, whatever it was, 6, 7 time. When I went that last time, it was a different building. It was a little ass courtroom. Wasn't that judge. There was no DA there. And I got charged with like disorderly conduct, and it was like $150 fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because he realized what was going on. Like, these guys are probably up to some. The DA's trying to make bones. She was a young girl. She probably didn't have a lot of arrests under her fucking belt. So she was like, yeah, they don't give a fuck. They're like, send this fucking piece of shit kid from Brooklyn up the river. Fuck that. And I'm like, yeah, ain't no way I'm going to do 2 years for fucking... For something I didn't even do. It's not even real. Right. I mean, people do life for shit ain't even real. Right. But, you know what I mean? So... that's another thing. Like, I can't ever get rid of that bike. You know what I mean? Like, I almost went to fucking prison because of that motorcycle.
Right.
So, yeah. So, anyway, that's a 20-minute answer to your 2-second question of, yeah, like 1999, 2000. Yeah. So that's when I got my first real Harley, and that's that chopper. Sick, but then what happened was I got, riding a rigid bike and shit. I needed something else. So I had a couple of, now I've had, I don't know, I've probably had 100 bikes.
Right.
Total. I don't even know anymore.
So, dude, me and you basically started the same way. Like, once we left the Jap bike thing, went straight to rigid choppers.
Yeah.
How gay did you feel when you got on your first Harley with like switches on the bars and shit? I felt like, dude,
I never had a Harley with switches on the bars.
Oh, really?
I've never had a Harley. Okay. I mean, the really only 2 bikes I've had, like I said, I've probably had over 100 Harleys.
Yeah.
But
back then,
the only Harleys, I buy them, I fix them, I sell them. Sometimes I'll just buy something and be like, yeah, I want to get this. And then I get it, like RTs. And one of my best buds, my boy Smitty, we ride together all the time. He's got a RT, P-Bags, T-Fairing. I've had like 2 or 3 of those bikes. I get them and I hate them.
Yeah.
And I don't hate the bike because I love FXRs, but living in the city, riding like dirt roads, off roads like I ride, it's just not my thing. I don't like, and also from riding a chopper with a little ass tank and everything out in front of you wide open.
Yeah.
I just don't like having stuff in front of me.
Right.
Like I got a DX now and it's got like a T-Sport fairing on it. I don't even like that. Yeah. The only time I ever put something in front is like in the winter when I'm riding and it's like single digits to teens. I got a convertible windshield that I bolt to my bike. That's it. That's as far as I go. And my Beamer is a totally different thing. That's a whole, like once you get on that, it's like, well, this is a fucking totally different bike. So,
You got any heated shit on that Beamer?
It's got heated grips, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I really don't even use them. Yeah. The newer bikes have heated grips and heated seats. But you know what it is? That bike's got almost a 9-gallon tank. So the tank's so big, it sticks out. It blocks basically from your shins all the way up to like your waist.
Right.
The little windshield and the bark busters block your arms and your chest. And your feet are behind the heads. Right. So your feet don't get cold because they're behind 2 fucking heads filled with hot oil.
Do you feel the heat coming off those heads in the winter? In
the winter, no. In the summer, like riding off-road, beating on it, or like a hot summer day, yeah, you do feel it. I mean, picture riding with your fucking feet on the motor mount and the air cleaner all day. It's the same kind of thing, So, yeah, you do feel it. So, I mean, but in the winter, it's nice. Your feet don't, you could wear regular boots. You don't got to go to some crazy heavy riding boot to ride in the winter. I mean, I ride that bike single digits, so.
You like riding that around the city better than a Harley?
Nah, it's a wide bike.
Yeah,
right now, matter of fact, I'm selling that BMW. I'm on the fence if I'm going to get another one. If I got another one, I probably wouldn't get the Adventure. So that's a GSA. Mm-hmm. They got the, like I said, almost 8.5-gallon tank. It's tremendous. And the thing with big tanks is you can only ride as far as your homie that's got the smallest tank.
Oh, right.
So, like, let's say we go for a ride. We're going for wherever. We're going for a ride Sunday. And one of my friends shows up with a fucking Sportster. We're stopping 70 miles, 180 miles, whatever.
Yeah.
And I got 6.5 gallons left.
Right.
So unless everybody's got a GSA, which the majority of the time,
you're riding solo.
When I ride far and off-road and I do all those trips, I ride with my boy Smitty, who's got a GSA.
Right.
So, like, we'll fill up sometimes the night before. Like, we'll fill up at night, ride a little, find a place to camp, ride the whole next day, 300 miles. The gas light never even come on. That bike goes 420 miles to a tank. So then the next day, get gas. Ride. It's like, it's a whole different world.
Yeah,
with those
that's
type
crazy,
of bikes.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just think, what'd you say you're gonna get a different?
So I might get a GS. It's the same bike, but it don't have the big tank. It's a little more narrow.
Gotcha.
But I don't even know if I'm gonna get it. The BMWs are awesome bikes, but I had to replace a couple parts on it throughout the year or two 2 years I've had it. And sometimes the stuff's hard to get. Like the bike might not have changed, so that bike's basically the same. 05, 06 to 12.
Right.
But it's not. Like, if you look at it or you know those bikes, it's the same. But if you're a mechanic or you're working on them, you realize, like, nah, this is different, that's different. They changed this, they changed that. So I had a couple parts I had to change, and it was like, yeah, your bike, it might be a year. Like, your unit you need might be a 1 year unit, might even be a 6 month unit, like a half year thing. And then they get hard to find, you know, because people ride the shit out of those bikes.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it's a thing, you know. And truthfully, like, probably last fall, I noticed it the most. We did like a 3,000-mile trip, week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it was. And besides one part out in PA, majority of the time we're doing between 50 and 70 miles an hour. You know, I don't really ride the highways. I never ride the highways, really, unless I have to.
Right.
You know, that's so I don't need a 1,200 horsepower bike.
Right.
You know, because it's like, well, when I get in the woods, like if I had a 400 or a 650, that'd be way better. And for the little bit, like I said, we did like between probably 90 and 110 for like a 5 to 10 mile strip, ripping. But that was it.
Right.
The rest of the trip, we're doing 60 miles an hour. So I could have had a fucking scooter. You know what I mean? Not with the off-road stuff, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so it's like to have that big bike. You know, so I might go like 400, not 400, I might go like 650 or something like that, like a big dual sport, because majority of those trips are on dirt, you know, and it's like, well, and then like I said, I got a whole thing of bikes. I don't even ever ride them.
Right,
so like I said, I got a 01 T-Sport. I never ride that bike. And I got my FXR Chopper that I ride everywhere, you know. I've done, you know, before I got my Beamer, I put probably 25,000 miles a year on that bike. Last 2 years, it's been less because I've been splitting it between the on-road, off-road stuff and using the Beamer. But, yeah, so, you know, I might go a little smaller. We'll see. I don't know. It's nice. I say that until I get on it, and I'm like, the other week I just ripped to my boy's cabin in PA in one shot. I got on that bike in Coney Island, and the next stop was fucking Beach Lake, PA. Like, you know what I mean? Like 85, 90 the whole way. So,
dude, besides the big tank, do you like actually like doing the longer trips on that bike versus the FXR?
I don't know, man.
Like
I rode so many years on my rigid shovel head that I'm not finicky when it comes to bikes. Like, I could get on anything and probably ride cross country. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, an electric glide is going to be more comfortable than a fucking KLR or something, or a fucking scooter. But yeah, that stuff really doesn't bother me. And sometimes I rather, like, I wish, like, right now, that's another thing I got going on. I might just build like a fucking FXR with super tall suspension and run like 70-30 tires on it, and that'll be it.
Right.
And that'll be it. You know, I'll put a crash bar on it and just make it all super stout to where
run
if this
it through the woods or whatever.
Yeah, if it goes down a staircase and flips the fuck over, like, it should be all right, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever. You know, we'll see. I don't know. The Beamer's cool. I like it for long rides. You know, it's another rifle in the cabinet type of thing, you know? You use different things for different stuff, you know? But it is kind of like the Swiss Army knife, Leatherman tool. I mean, it does everything good. People are like, this bike, that bike. I'm like, yo, did you ever own a BMW, like a GS?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because I don't think so. The way you're talking, I don't think so. I think you had two bikes and you're just drunk right now talking shit, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know you, bro, but like, me and my boy right here on these GSs will smoke you.
Right.
100%. And then on the dirt, you're like, it'll be, oh, we're on the dirt. And I'm doing like 80 on the dirt road.
Right.
You know? And I got an older model, no ABS and shit. So, I mean, they were awesome bikes, but, you know, it's just, I'm more of a Harley guy. You know?
Dude, I never even thought of it, but like, there's probably only 3 guys in this whole country, you, Smitty, and Bare Knuckle Paul, that are like,
that's right. He has a newer GSA.
FXR guys and BMW guys. Isn't that weird?
Paul's a good dude. He's a master machinist. He makes all those sick parts. So, I mean, he knows, you know. He knows what's up. I'm pretty sure he got that bike to probably get into the parts market, because there's a big parts market for that. But also, you know, he lives out in Missouri. The riding's great out there, you know. I mean, think about it. 400 miles to a tank. You could leave your house, ride all day, and never have to fucking stop.
Yeah.
And you could literally pull out of your driveway, do a fucking sick day of riding, pull back in your driveway, and never put your foot on the ground. Ever.
Yeah.
You know the right roads to go and the right route. You could do 400 miles, never take your fucking feet off the pegs.
Yeah, I think he said like that's one of the advantages. Like he's done a lot of off-road trips out west.
Yeah.
And you take a lot of those routes and you don't got to worry about like, oh, where's gas or whatever. You're like, fucking hit it, dude. I don't care where I'm seeing the next building.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I did the real thing was I wanted to do a couple off-road trips. That's why I got the Beamer. It was more for off-road, not riding.
Right.
Like me, Smitty, Big Tom, a couple other dudes. So we're going to do like a big FXR ride before the FXR jam and leave the weekend before, do like a 10-day trip and kind of pull into the jam on that last weekend and then go home. But I mean, for the last few years, me and Smitty been doing all types of trips on. I mean, bro, we did off-road stuff on bro, we pull up places.
Some of that.
Yeah, I mean, we've ridden our FXRs off-road, and I mean, kudos to him because he's got the fairing, the bags, but Smith's a good rider, you know what I mean? But it's just like, his bike's nice, you know what I mean? My FXR Chopper's kind of like a spray-painted, crazy contraption. You know, like, this is the bike you want to drop, you know what I mean, on a gravel road.
I'd be afraid to drop it.
Yeah, where the Beamer, like, I slid that fucking thing down the road, I can't tell you how many times. Like, that thing, I won't hesitate to just flip it on its fucking side if I got to work on it or do something or whatever, or fucking there's no place to sit. I'll just fucking lean it on its side and sit on it, you know, and that's what those bikes are built for.
Right,
So, you know, listen, you don't know if you like something unless you try it. So I was like, I'm not going to... Smitty's dad had GSs, so he grew up, like, riding GSs. His dad...
that's where he got that first one. Before he bought the brand new one, his dad's bike is what got him
So
hooked.
he rode his dad's bike with his dad's friends on trips, went places, not like the stuff we do with our GSAs, but he rode them, you know what I mean? He actually sent one into a fucking field, and that was a big thing. He was like, yo, and I know where he was talking about because it's right up by his place in PA. He sent this fucking thing, like, over the handlebars, looping. Like, he was in the grass, and the bike went over him into a field. And he was like, yo, the bike had a bent front rim.
That was it.
Like, you know, tacoed, but he was like, yo, like, if I had a wheel, I could have rode that bike home.
Right.
Like, tweaked bars and bent wheel. They're made to get wrecked.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, well, my dad didn't have a fucking Beamer, so I don't know. You know, I might get this thing and hate it. I'm not going to go spend 20, 30 grand on a new one and be like, yo, this fucking thing sucks.
Right.
So I did some research. The stuff I know from working on them, I was like, yo, this is the one I want. And I found one. I bought it. And for the most part, I hadn't had any problems with it. And, it is what it is. Like I said, it's a tool for the job. It's awesome. But, like I said, when we go on some of these trips, we're doing, like, between 50 and maybe 70 majority of the time. I mean, bro, we're on dirt roads. Sometimes we're doing 20, 30 miles an hour.
Right.
So it's like, well, what the fuck do I got a 1200 for? I could put a big-ass gas tank on a fucking CR 250 thing, like those Clark and
they do the big
cherry base. They make those 6 safari tanks for everything.
Yeah. The like the for like Dakar rally. And
yeah,
shit.
they make the rally tanks, adventure tanks. They make them for almost any like dual sport type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and now you're talking a 650 motor with a 6-gallon tank. It's the same thing as that 1200 because that bike probably gets 60 miles to a gallon or something like that. So
right.
We'll see. I don't know. Like, I bought the Beamer to see what it's about. I'm going to buy something else. You know, I ride everything. I've ridden every fucking type of bike. I've ridden bikes that only 2 exist. Like, I've ridden, you know, from working on bikes for 20 years, I rode a lot of stuff. But you can't be like, oh, this bike sucks.
Right.
When I ride it around for 10 minutes to see what's wrong with this thing or that thing, you got to fucking buy it, you know? And like I did with my Beamer, I got a decent deal on it. I bought it, and I was like, yeah, I'll ride it for a little bit. And if I don't like it, I'll just sell it. You know, even if I lose a couple $100 on the sale, it was like I rented it for $500 for a year, for a season, to see if I like it. And I liked it, so I kept it a couple years, but I'm going to try something else now and see, you know, and see what's up with that, you know, so.
Dude, I just realized I'm going to interrupt this for a second. The one thing I did forget that I got to start adding into these shows is, also hit up the Bump Shop Diaries, man. Hit him up for all that cool shit that he's selling, all the vintage stuff. It's also the only place you could buy my Crazy Gentleman merch. Go there, get something, support this show. I'm also, go back to my first YouTube video. It's only a few videos back. This is like the 7th video or some shit. And I'm still doing that giveaway. There's still room for Patreon members to get fucking merch and stickers and all that cool shit. Go look at that video. You see the rules and all that shit. And even if you want, just support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee. And that's it, man. I hate the fucking advertisement shit.
You gotta do it,
I hate
bro.
selling shit. I know, I'm learning that.
You just gotta do it. You know what I mean?
You just got to be an internet
It's like a dealer
whore.
out on the corner. Yo. If you don't holler, they don't know you got the stuff. You know what I mean? They're just like, it's this guy standing against the wall.
Right.
And then they holler, and you're like, he's got weed or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
So you gotta promote. You know what I mean? That's your shit.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants to work? You know what I mean?
Right.
You're gonna be doing this for a living.
Yeah. So let's transition into what everyone fucking wants to hear from you, man. The cool FXR shit.
All right, so the cool FXR shit is rule number 1: you got to cut the fucking bike in half. I do not want to hear about build. You know what I mean? People are gonna get hurt. And check it out. If I don't say you by name, it's not against you because I will say your name. We could throw hands. We could do whatever you want. I'm not calling people out on the low by saying stuff. If I hate you, I'm gonna say your name. But yeah, you know,
Chop that shit.
Yeah, cut it up, man. What the fuck? You know, listen. Don't take a. I don't even know, 94, they have the RP, but don't take the badass bikes, you know, but these fucking FXRs that are hammered, you know, cut them up. I wish guys would start, you know, the problem is stuff's super expensive. Somebody can't make like FXR frames for cheap, so guys could swap them. And then if you take all your shit out and put in this frame, you don't have a number no more. That's why we were talking about with this frame. I use the Harley neck, so it's a weird thing. But yeah, I mean, do something different, you know, like all this stuff that...
Dude, I'll be honest, man. I've talked about it on a few other shows. One of the things that does fucking piss me off in the Harley world is a lot of fucking guys and there's a lot of fucking big names out there that say they build fucking FXRs. Dude, they're bolting bikes together.
Yeah,
that kind of fucking pisses me off.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
chop that shit.
I mean, that's
or customize it.
Yeah,
at least mine's not.
Yeah.
Parts of it are chopped, but like,
yeah.
dude, it's at least customized. It's customized.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do something.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of guys bolting shit
though.
together, man.
Here's the thing: a lot of guys bolt those bikes together and put all that shit on. But that's the same corny motherfucker that goes and buys sneakers because they're cool, or he buys boots. Like boots are a thing, guns are a thing. Like, yo, you got a Savage rifle, bro? You need an AR. My nigga, get the fuck out of here. You don't know anything about a rifle. You're a fucking bonehead. You know what I mean? Like. Come on, like my uncle will blow your head off with a bolt-action rifle. You're gonna have this crazy thing, like is that a Terminator gun?
Like the fucking mall ninja shit. Like they call it like the
you know
mall
what I mean? It's like the dudes that put wheels on fucking trucks, not like the big pickup trucks, like Jeeps. You know what I mean? They kit them out, never go four-wheeling.
Right.
You know, I'm like, bro, you can't four. They're like, oh, this is the best Jeep for four-wheeling. I'm like, that's the best Jeep for four-wheeling, bro. That thing got a tilt sensor in it. Like you get in one good angle, and that whole truck's gonna be like. Abort mission. It don't know it's four-wheeling. It thinks you're in the middle of an accident.
Right.
Come on. Like, what, you know? So that's a lot of the bikes because these guys are just following trends. Some guys are doing it because that's their fucking business. They bang out bikes and sell them.
And some of those guys do build some clean bikes, but I hate to say build. You know, it's like,
I mean,
you know
assemble,
what I mean?
build. Yeah, I mean, I don't fucking nitpick on stuff. I just don't, you know what I mean? I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's corny, you know, but they're corny people. Like those people, like I wouldn't do something like that. Like I'll do it for a customer. I went to a bike shop. Like you've seen that lowrider. I don't know if they could see it in the thing, but that brand new lowrider S.
It's pretty sick.
It's nice, but it's corny. But that's my job. Like this bike came in. I don't know that guy. I'm not selling him that bike. It's not my bike. I don't give a fuck what you ride. Like, you know what I mean? That's my job. And some guys, that's their job. They might not have a shop where they build, like they do work on like change tires and shit, like maintenance, like I do. They might build a bike, you know, deck it all out, and then they make their 10 grand on it, and they move on to the next one, which a lot of guys do. That's their thing, you know, but it's just, you know, it's crazy.
It's just not a mag-fired fucking FXR.
Yeah, it's not a mag-fired, cut in half, stretched up FXR, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like, whose bike is that? Well, how could I tell? Everybody's bike looks the same. You know, if these guys didn't have these fucking crazy paint jobs that look like a bass boat, you wouldn't be able to tell these fucking bikes apart.
Right.
Which,
They're all
the
dude,
same,
that's another thing that I've been pretty vocal about my whole life is like, to me, the paint is the fucking least important part. And it's the only fucking thing that gets credit.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that wins shows. It's the only thing that throws you in magazines, gets you invited places. And I'm like, I don't know.
That shit's gay.
For me, that shit's fucking gay, dude.
It's like corny.
It's like, dude, you're throwing fucking cake decorations on a fucking bike.
Yeah.
That's not making a fucking bike, dude.
No.
Like I'd
listen,
rather see a fabricated bike with fucking rattle can on it.
Absolutely.
Like, that's
I'd rather see a sick
bike
bike like barbecue black than a crazy paint job.
Right.
Now, on the other hand, I understand when these guys build these like top tier bikes, like
you could have both.
That's the you know, that's from 4-star to 5-star. It's the only thing it's not missing. Like, I'm really gonna like just powder coat everything on this bike black or rattle can it black. Like that would be crazy. I just spent $20,000 and fucking doodads to make this thing look like this.
Right.
But it doesn't really matter to me. All that stuff is corny. All that stuff is gay. Like, look at my boy, shout out Joe Kid. I love Joe. Me and him got a fucking bond. We fucking, the first day.
He calls you the East Coast Joe Kid.
I call him
whatever
my bro.
his nickname is. He's like, he's
I don't talk to Joe
he's
much.
like me in New
he's
York.
on the other side of other side of the country. We bullshit once in a while. But Joe's a real dude. You know, we kind of have like the same upbringing and shit. And the first, I might have been the first day I met Joe. We hung out till like 6 o'clock the next morning. We were and I met him at an FXR gym, and everybody was either passed out, sleeping, gone, whatever. And me and Joe stayed up till like 6 o'clock in the morning just bullshitting, the whole fucking all through the night. And I don't think he drank. I don't think he drank, so he wasn't drinking at the time. And we just bullshit all night till all in the morning. I mean, the sun was up. It wasn't the sun's coming up.
Weed dude.
Yeah, I think he was smoking weed or not. I don't know, whatever. I don't remember. I don't think he was drinking, but whatever. We fucking bullshitted all through the night, and I was like, yeah, Joe's a real one. Like, but he gets it. Like, if you look at Joe, Joe Kid 80, I think it is. If you look at his Instagram or whatever, follow him or see him around, like, he just builds nice, clean, real fucking bikes.
Right.
And that's what I'm into. I'd rather see that, but then like people make that corny. Like, oh, I got it. Like they made 7 of these paint jobs. Come on, bro, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, ride this fucking bike. You know, have a good time. Like, I'm more into the biker side of it. You know what I mean? Like the ride. Like, I don't ride on the highway no more. People like. I think the last time I rode fast on the highway was you when we smoked those 1% dudes going from the fucking
with Peter Guns.
No. Oh, he was with us, was he? No.
I mean, that was one of the last times I remember ripping pretty fast with you.
I feel like it was just us two.
I don't remember where.
That might have been a different year.
Okay.
Because it was the same thing we did a couple years. We went from the East Coasting to Strange Days because it was the same weekend at the time.
Right.
And we just ripped across 84 like 100 miles an hour. And those two dudes pulled up with new bikes, remember? Thought they were going to smoke us.
I remember you saying, you're like, dude, I don't care. I ain't got a rev limiter, dude.
Yeah, we can like, I got 6 of these Evo motors in my shop. I'll put the rods through the cases. I don't give a shit. Like, I just fucking put that thing on and whatever happens, happens. And he got smoked. You seen him? He gave me the pound before he ducked off. He knew it was up. But, yeah, you know, like, I don't ride the highways. I take the back roads. I take it slow. I stop at all the fucking cool spots. Right. I mean, dude, I ride with some old guys in their 70s. It gets out of hand sometimes.
Stopping.
Bro, it's a whole nother podcast we got to do. They'll be like, I'm like, what are we doing right now? That's a poplar tree. You know, I cut down a poplar tree for the so-and-sos in my town in like 85. It would have been beautiful like this. I'm like, Smith, this is what we're doing? This guy's looking at a tree right now. It's like, he's a landscaper, you know? I'm like, bro, it's fucking the middle of the afternoon. We got 200 miles to go. Like,
right.
And then we probably won't make it and we'll just sleep on the road somewhere. You know, that's another, you know, but like, that's what I'm into. You know, these guys are into, like I said, I always equate it to like, the dude that buys sneakers. Like, you buy these fucking expensive sneakers, you're a fucking cornball. You know what I mean? Like, that shit is corny. But to them, that's like their thing. So that's the same thing with the bikes. Like, oh, this is what you do. It's just, you know, different strokes for different folks. That's just not my thing. You know, you got to cut that bike in half. You got to stretch it. You got to make it your own. Make it look like a dirt bike. Make it look like a chopper. Yeah. You know? Or make it look like a fucking, I don't know what the fuck you even call those things. But not my thing.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, I'm into all of them, man. I'm just not into calling something what it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's definitely a thing nowadays.
That's what I'm not
guys get credit for, like, yo, I see guys on Instagram, random, don't know them, pop up, oh, guy's building a sick bike. And if you, like, really dig, like, become a detective, you're like, hey, this guy got nobody following him. Like, not nobody, you know what I mean? But not like this guy. And you, like, scroll back, you're like, oh, this dude's got this. And then you go back another year and the shit, you're like, we're on the same thing. Followed, and he starts following, like, oh, we're like, are we best friends now? But, like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, this guy's got sick stuff. He ain't a nobody. You know, he's a nobody. Nobody knows him. And then you're like, this guy's got all this stuff. And every fucking thing this guy does is cornier than the last thing. Like, this is corny. Yeah, nah, that's horrible. You know, that's another thing, like, in the motorcycle, I hate to say industry, but it's like, oh yeah, this is what you need, this is what we make. Bro, that thing is horrible.
Right.
That what's it fucking tchotchke thing you're making? That's a fucking nightmare.
Right.
That thing's no good. It's not going to work.
There's a lot
and
of
they're
garbage
like, oh,
products.
you don't know. How the fuck do you know? Because I ride all the time, and I can know just by looking at it.
Right.
You don't know because you're that dick that buys those stupid sneakers and boots. Like, you're that guy. You went and bought a brand new AR because you watched some video and the guy said you need it. You bought these fucking boots because the guy, like, you're that guy. So somebody else makes something like that. You made yours a little different. You're going to tell me that's what I need. Nah, bro. Ain't happening. Every fucking buddy's uncle and dad is riding a bone stock Harley every fucking weekend. You don't need that to do this stuff. You know what I mean? You look at the East Coast and dudes, their bikes are kind of, I wouldn't even say wild. I mean, if you look at them, like we went to the East Coast and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with Paulie Drags and all the young dudes up there I know through Paulie. You look at your bikes and you're like, this is what this kid wheelies?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure they only run chains because they might break them once in a while. But like, maybe
dude, some of those guys
have
like,
belts still on their bike.
Yeah, dude.
Stock gearing, belts. Like the kid Gabe Reckless. Like, yeah, I remember like, whatever, like a couple years ago, maybe like 4 years ago, looking at his bike at an East Coast event or somewhere. We went on an age ride, whatever. And I'm like, this kid wheelies the shit out of this bike. And I know from the exhaust note that it ain't no crazy motor.
Right.
You know? And it's basically a stock dyno.
Right.
What do you mean I need all this shit? This kid rides the bike on the back wheel till the fucking motor seizes because it hasn't had oil in so long. Because it's like this, you know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck. He does a fucking whole shot, a burnout on the fucking interstate until the fucking tire splits in half. What do you mean I need this?
That kid's got more time on the rev limiter than you got on the road, you know?
Right, you know what I mean? Yeah, like exactly. Like that old biker shit. I got more miles backing up to the curb than you got riding.
Right.
But it's true.
Right.
This kid's majority of his days on his wheel. The kid's riding a stock DX. The one bike wasn't even DX.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, look at Paulie Jr. The kid's on a Sportster. Ripping.
Right.
He's the one right now. Like, if you don't follow Paulie Drag's son and you're into that
probably,
wheelie stuff.
Like 19 now or something?
I don't even think he's 19, dude. I just seen Paulie Drag's dad at the swap meet in Connecticut. I don't think his son's 19. Maybe 17, 18, but he ain't 19, no way. Right. And he rips, you know, double-handed, like no-handed fucking coaster wheelies. Like, he rips. He's up there. He's one of the best. Crazy. And he rides a Sportster.
Right.
This guy's like, oh, you need this, you need that. I'm like, you need to move on to something else, bro. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it ain't, you know what I mean? But it's like, I forgot who said it, but like one of the pro skaters back in the day used to say, there's no faking dropping in on the deep end.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you could pose all you want. You could show up with the sick board. You could scrape your skateboard. Because I used to ride BMX. I skated a little. But, like...
That vert ramp will make a liar out of everybody.
Bro, for me, it was BMX and it was the dirt jump. Like, I first started dirt jump with, like, handrails. I rode street. Like, all right. This is 20 stair rail. What's up?
Right.
Like, there's nothing like that in the bike industry. Like, you just pull up and park it. Like, oh, this is sick. The guy's got these shocks. The guy's got this. He must know what he's doing. There's really no way to tell him. Like, maybe unless you go out riding with him and rip turns.
Right.
You know, that's like a thing with the FXR Jam. It's in Maggie Valley.
Really ride.
You pull out. I crashed in your room that night. You go a couple miles that way, couple miles that way.
Yeah,
it's on.
Yeah, you could rip.
It's on. There's no, you ain't fronting there. It's on.
Right.
You're either, and it's cool. And then that's the other thing too. I'm cool with it. Like I did a little ride last, like whatever, end of the year, like whatever, fall, I guess, whatever. And I told people, I'm like, yo. And when I go places where there's mad people, like we went out the one day to go swimming at the East Coast jam, at the FXR Jam, and I told all my boys, like, who's drunk, who's mushroomed, I'm like, yo, there's going to be a fast pack and there's going to be a slow pack.
Right.
It happens. You know what I mean? Don't be in the fast pack if you're a slow pack guy. Right. Like, we're all getting there. I'm never going to leave you. Like, if there's a turn, I'll be waiting for you. But it happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just like everyone gets beat up and loses a fight. Like, every boxer, there ain't nobody who's all wins. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. You're going to go out there, and these guys are just better riders than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we might your bike might be faster, but now we're going to hit the turns.
Right.
Or, like when you ride with me, we might hit the dirt. Right. And then you're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? This guy's going down the dirt. Yeah, bro, I'm going down the dirt doing 60.
Yeah.
Like, we're ripping. But we're going to come to that turn, and I'm going to be waiting for you. And when we did my little ride with this group of guys, that's exactly what we did. We rode up to Vermont. We hit some dirt roads. The campground that we stayed at is 13 miles up a dirt road. Bro, my friend's dad came. Fucking, thanks, Sal. And he's awesome. Fucking Dave Jude Sr., fucking awesome guy. He was like, yo, this is sick. This is that. I'm like, yeah, Davey, I told you. Like, bro, I'm not leaving you. You know what I mean? You might not be able to see me, but I'm not leaving you. We're riding together. This is a thing. But, like, we get on dirt roads. You don't got to do 60. I'd rather wait a minute for you than be like, yo, I think Davey went down. Like, Davey's dad, because of Davey Jr. Like, him show up and be like, where's my dad? And then 5 minutes later, we got to go back and he's down because he tried to keep up with us. You don't got to keep up. So at the jam, I told him the same thing. He's going to be a fast pack and a slow pack. It's all good. We're all going to make it a swimming hole. You know what I mean?
I always tell people that too, man. Like, dude, don't kill yourself trying to keep up with me.
Yeah, ride your ride.
I'll wait for you, you know, or whatever, you know.
Absolutely.
Or if I'm just going to fucking chill all day with you, I'll just go slow. Like, don't fucking kill yourself trying to keep up with me.
Dude, majority of the time.
Because you're not, you know?
Majority of the time, everyone's different. You know what I mean? Like I said, you might have a fast bike and the thing's low.
Right.
You know, or you ride, but you don't ride in the turns. You ride in the turns, but not like we ride in the turns.
Right.
You know, and then that bike with 12 and a half, 13-inch shocks, bro, I ain't having it. Like my boy Tom, he built his beautiful 88 FXR, did it all up, started riding with us. He always rode with us, but started really going away on trips and start riding the hard, twisty, tight-ass back roads that we ride. And he was like, yeah, bro, I got to lift my bike. I was like, I told you that when you were doing it. He was like, nah, I know, you're right. 14-inch shocks, 4 over forks, you know? And I'm like, yo, Tom, you're 6, he's tremendous, 6'5". I'm like, yeah, you ain't got to worry about that. You could have 16-inch shocks to be able to put your foot down. Right. Your feet don't belong to the ground. They belong on the pegs. Like, I don't, slow race shit. Like, you got to keep your feet on the pegs and you got to ride that motherfucker, you know? And but all right, you got a low bike. You're not going to make it through the turns. That's cool. Right. Whatever, you know what I mean? You don't got to wreck your bike, because now it's like, this fucking dickhead wrecked his bike because he's got these slammer shocks on his bike and he thought he was going to go through this turn 80 miles an hour and it was a fucking spark show, you know, and he's in the bush. He buried his bike like it's Elvis. It's in a fucking ditch, you know? So,
dude, isn't that crazy? Like, the transition from, like, I'll say, like, when we started in the early 2000s, how everyone fucking slammed their bikes. Like, just thinking back, like, how fucking shitty those bikes rode, man. Absolutely. Like, how you just couldn't.
But here's the thing.
Shred those
there
bikes.
Was guys,
you know?
There was guys. A lot of them were, like, club dudes. I had a couple guys that were big clubs that I worked on their bikes. Their bikes were set up right. You just didn't see it much. It wasn't a trend. You know, there was no social media. Right. Or really, I don't know. Was there social media in like the early 2000s when it really kicked off?
Nah. Instagram I don't 5 years ago was the first social media I ever did.
If it was, it wasn't like it is now. No way. Right. You know, so you didn't see what these dudes were doing here. You didn't see what these dudes were doing there. Unless you went somewhere, you didn't see shit. Like, you went to bike. I remember 2000s going to bike. Matter of fact,
But the club guys were the only ones running, like, properly set up FXRs back then.
And a lot of dudes out west, like West Coast guys that really rip canyons and stuff. And guys, I went on a big trip in 2008 on my rigid shovel head with all guys on shovel heads and pan heads. And was it 2008? I think it was 2008. Whatever. It was like 2007, 2008. And I seen this dude. He just stopped. Matter of fact, that's what it was. We were stopped. He pulled up alongside of us on an FXR to see if we were broken down. And I just remember, and I had worked, 2007, I was working on bikes. And I just been like, man, look at this thing. And he was like an older dude. Right. But he's that old dude that you're like, oh, old guy. Yeah, guess what, bro? You better hope you keep up with that guy. Like my buddy Doug, 70 years old now. Yeah, you're hard-pressed keeping up with that guy. Right. You know what I mean?
Dude, like, right around that time, though, like, I'll call it, let's just say 2007, just pre-2010, was just when you started seeing the underground spark of guys setting these things up properly. Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first one I saw. It was an HA bike. Yeah. But I remember 07.
Facebook. No, not Facebook. What was before Facebook? MySpace. Yep. All right. So probably the same time, right? Like 05, maybe even earlier than 07, like 05. I remember seeing dudes really ripping wheelies on an FXR. Yeah. And they were guys from out west. Yeah, yeah. And like, oh, what the fuck? Work shocks, like 14, 15-inch work shocks, 2 overs, fucking, like, nice bar and riser setup. And really not like, like a power wheelie rip, like clicking gears and wheeling. Right. And the one dude that was like the beginning of that, I don't even know if he rides much anymore. Ryan Smith.
Okay.
He used to have I don't even think, I looked for him on Instagram, like, is this dude still around? Like a while ago, and maybe I just, my detective skills more. But anyway, Ryan, I think his last name was Smith. He had a company, like, he used to sell clothes and shit called Low Cash.
Okay.
And if you look back, that black dude that wheelied the fucking Road King, that green Road King, Big Manny, he's real popular out west. He used to rip fucking wheelies on a green Road King with ape hangers.
Really?
Big Manny. He passed away. And him and the dude Ryan were friends. They did a memorial run. And this is whenever the dude Big Manny passed. But he was ripping wheelies way before that. But he's doing on the passenger peg, stand up, whatever, third gear wheelies on the highway, splitting people riding in like a memorial procession. Because he's cranking, you know what I mean? So he's just coming up on bikes and he's getting over and he split 2 or 3 bikes. The guys were like, they were doing like maybe 60 and he's doing like 70 or 80. And he split these 2 bikes. Passenger peg, stand-up wheelie. He's got a DX with a big motor. Shout out to that dude if he ever sees this. Yeah, but anyway, I seen that dude in like you said, like 05 to 07 ripping those bikes. And like I said, I always worked on bikes, so I would see him. I worked on some guys, like really road club guys, this and that. I worked on every fucking genre of bike, every type of bike, every type of person's bike. So I seen it. I just wasn't into it, you know? I had my hand shift, 98-inch fucking stroker, spray painted shovel head. I was the baddest motherfucker around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One bag strapped to the back, sleeping on the ground. I didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? I'm a fucking FXR. And that whole rubber mounted, the first shop I worked at, my boss had a nice FXR. And I used to ride his bike, and he'd be like, oh, you got to get one of these things. You got to get a Dyna, you got to get an FXR, you got to get this thing. And I'm like, yeah. But he didn't really ride. So I'm like, I ain't listen to this fucking guy. He rides his bike 3 times a year. It was a sick bike, and when he rode it, he ripped it. But I'm like, this fucking guy don't ride. But he was an older guy with kids and shit like that. And he wasn't like a road trip ripper type of guy. Whatever. This fucking thing. But then when you get one and you get comfortable on it and you start riding it, you're like, yeah, this thing is the truth. Like, that's like the people like FXR, Dyna. I'm like, yeah, cuz you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, Dyna's are cool bikes. I work on them. I have owned them. I've bought and sold and owned them. Had new ones, old ones, fast ones, slow ones, shitty ones, nice ones. But it ain't FXR.
Nah.
You know what I mean? I'll never forget, like, me and my boy were ripping and we got chased by the cops. And we dropped down into this like little thing in the Rockaways that was like a loading station for like MTA stuff for like some sort of job they were doing on the tracks. We ripped through there and we had to jump a curb to get into it, and then like not jump. We didn't hit it going fast. We just kind of popped the front wheel on it and then popped the back wheel up on it. But it was like a high curb, like a foot high sidewalk. And to get out of it on the other end. But we dipped on the cops, whatever. And he was like, yeah, I fucked up my bike, this and that. I'm like, what? And in the end, it was the fucking rear motor mount. He had just killed it from fucking slamming that back wheel into that curb. And I was like, yo, my bike is mint, bro. You gotta get FXR. You know, just joking around. But it's true. You could thrash those bikes, you know. It's like, you know, they're something special. You know what I mean? Like, and when you cut them in half and stretch them, it's really
so true special. Though when you start really manipulating those
that was another thing that turned me off to like Dynas and FXRs, you know, because like I said, like early 2000s when I first started really ripping my chopper, the whole like, you know, like when you ride a stock Harley, you're sitting on the bike is what I always say to everyone. When you ride a chopper, you're sitting in the bike. And I seen a bike out in Long Island, built by a guy from Long Island, did frame stuff and whatnot, and it was a stretched FXR, and I was like, that thing looks pretty sick. And I did a little research, and Chopper Guys was popping at the time, but the problem was they made 2 frames. One was basically a stock replacement, and then their chopper frame, but their chopper frame was too chopper for what I wanted. You know, I didn't want to run a 12 over front end. So I was like, all right, but this is what I got to get into. And a customer had bought some sort of, to this day, I couldn't tell you what the frame was, but it was some sort of stretched FXR. It was like a Kenny Boyce frame that somebody had stretched a little and made this custom bike out of, but it was, you know, it was cool. And I did some work to the motor and shit. I forgot what he was in for. I think it was some bullshit with the motor. And I road tested the bike after that, and I was like, yeah, this is what I need. This is what I got to do. And that's exactly what the fuck I did. Like a week later, I went on eBay. I found This is also 2000 and whatever the fuck it was, early, you know, 5, 6, 7, and I was like, oh, FXR frame, $300, you know what I mean? Bought it, got it, cut it in half, and I didn't do the stretch. People always, you know, I did not do that on my bike. You know, somebody else did that for me, which unfortunately he don't do them no more. And then yeah, set it up, and I was like, this is, you know, I need that tank in front of me, you know, up that little bit, you know. I want to ride in the bike, not on the bike.
Right.
I wanted to, you know, like I tell people, like when you ride a stock bike with the low bars and the big seat and everything, it's like you're running down the highway.
Right.
It's like you're running down the road, and I don't want to feel that.
Yeah.
I want to be in it, you know what I mean? I want that bike in front of me. You know?
Yeah.
So,
I want to feel like I'm part of that fucking bike.
yes, exactly.
Like,
you know, so that's why you got to cut them in half.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you can do, man. Or send it to somebody and let them cut it in half.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to chop that motherfucker.
You definitely got to massage it a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, you know. Or not, you know, just build a sick FXR and ride the shit out of it. My boy Smitty's bike is basically, like I said, it's like an RP, fairing bike, police bags, rides the fuck out of it, loves it, you know, but.
Yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I got a lot of FXRs, but the ones that you cut and play with are the best ones.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I said, I've never had a bike with fucking, you said, like hit, what did we say before about hit the button? Like, I've never had a bike.
Switches.
Actually, I do. My DX that I have, which I never ride.
Right.
That bike has switch out, like button boxes still, but I've never, you know, like if I have a bike like that, it's for a couple weeks. Like I buy it, I fix it, and then I sell it or whatever, you know, like.
Right.
I never.
Dude, you said something before too that like, for a long time, I only had rigid bikes. And I feel like it's something that'll never go away in us is like, after you learn on rigid bikes, everything is comfortable. Like you said, like I'm not picky about bikes. Like when people are like, oh well, this bike is like kind of feels like this.
Too much this way.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, this
like
is
I sat in
luxury.
a fetal position for weeks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was always overweight. Like I'm like, how do you ride that bike? Like. What are you, the how do I ride that bike police? Like, mind your fucking business. Don't worry about how I ride this bike, bro. Get out of here with your fucking heritage you've been fucking cleaning for 20 years. Like,
dude, one more debate too, man. What do you think the best fucking way to set up an FXR is? I mean, I know there's a lot of ways, but like Evo Twin Cam M8. If you had to only have one.
I can't talk much on the M8s because they're only out a couple years. I've never put one in an FXR yet. I never really.
Do you think like the juice is worth the squeeze though? Because you kind of do got to do a lot of chopping. You can't just kind of bolt them in like you kind of can a twin cam.
And now, you know, listen. I mean, here's my thing with the big motor stuff. I'm not a big motor guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were just talking about that before we were doing this thing. I'm not a big motor guy. Like, you know, so, like, all right, not even FXRs. Just these M8 bikes and all these bikes. Like, every year, the motors get bigger.
Right.
It's like, bro, did you make the tank bigger? My nigga, they made the tank bigger when? In 08, 9, when they changed the frame, they went to a 6-gallon.
Right.
Like, now you got 130. Bro, you're stopping with me with the Sportster tank.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I got an 80-inch motor. We're stopping the same thing. Your motor's 130-something. You got this fast bike. So it's like the heat. You know, I got my friend Tommy. He's got a Lowrider S, silver Lowrider S, like you got, with a 128, I think it is, or whatever. And he
sucking gas.
Dude, not even it's sucking gas, but the third thing out of his mouth is the heat. The heat, bro. I went to Bike Week. The heat was crazy. I can't even. We had to stop. I had to stand over the bike. So it's like, I mean, and listen. I got a friend, my boy Phil from out west, old dude, rode with the best of them. He was in the big clubs, you know what I mean? Rode all over the country. And he's like, I had bikes with 80-inch motors. I had that motherfucker wide open from one fucking seat to the other.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, listen, it's like anything else. It's up to you. Me? You saying the best for me?
Yeah, for you. Yeah.
Evo motor. You know, do the little tricks so they don't have no fucking problems. Up the compression, put a good cam in it. You know, maybe send the heads out to somebody so they flow better. Because that's another thing. I had an 80-inch motor, high compression, big cam. The heads were done, bigger valves. You know, like a hopped-up 80-inch. Way faster than a stock 80-inch. I went riding one day with my buddy. He had a 96 Dyna. It was in my FXR chopper. He had a 96 Dyna, bone stock, basically. Had a thunder header on it and an air intake. CV carb. Bro, we're pumping at the pump. And he's like looking over the pump. I'm like, what's up, bro? What's going on? He's like, how much gas you just put in your bike? And I don't remember what it was, but he looked at the numbers on both pumps. He's like, how did I use more gas than you? I'm like, I don't know. When did you be? He knew what he filled up. Right. And he was like, are you getting better gas mileage than me? And then we like figured it out coming home, and I was.
Right.
11 to 1 motor.
Super efficient when you do those. Yeah.
The motor's not working as hard. When you got to speed up to get around whatever, I'm rolling the throttle. He's grabbing a handful. He's downshifting. Wow,
dude, people don't believe it, but that 111 that I have in that FXR, if I'm rolling normal, 70 to 80, the best I've done is 56 miles to the gallon. Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing.
That thing will fucking
I see things,
super
the
efficient.
111, this and that. I'm like, bro, the 111 is not a fast motor. It's like 100 horsepower. It's made... it's the upgrade for if you got an old bagger. It makes torque. It makes good torque, good horsepower, and it's good on gas.
I think it's the best all-around motor
they've ever built. And it's quiet because it's got the beehive spring where like the 96-inch S&S and the 113s, they got the triple spring, fucking heavy-duty valve train. You get a valve train noise because the heavy-duty springs. That motor's made to be quiet. So when you put an FXR, super smooth, good 100 horsepower is more than you need, more than enough. So you could do things like that, put a 111 in. But my thing is a good built 80-inch, the Harley 5 speeds. These guys do these crazy trannies and all that. And if you got a chain, gear it a little taller because Harleys, I think almost everything is geared too short nowadays. Almost everything. But gear it a little taller, and you got a great bike.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but some guys always want more. It's like they do that with everything. Stereo systems, guys put 10 speakers in, they take it out, they put 20 speakers. It's like that with every fucking thing. Guys always want more than, and it's like, yeah. And then the other thing was like we were just saying before, you're not that guy. Like, what are you doing, bro? You're not that guy. You know what I mean?
Right,
Come on, man. Where the
you
fuck
think
are
you think the
You're in
request?
the slow pack. What are you doing? Like, you ain't in the fast pack, cuz. Come on, fucking, so.
Do you think the request for an M8 FXR is going to be around the corner for you? Not for you, but like for a customer. Like I
got a couple people
can't really
doing it.
Speak, but like there's like 4 or 5 FXRs here getting twin cams. Like
so I got like 5 or 6 guys lined up to do twin cam FXRs. They're good, but I'm not really even here. I always say, and it was funny. That was one of the things me and Joe, like we were talking about when we first met. The twin cam FXR drivetrain is my whatever you want to call it, 87 upgrade.
Right.
It's more for all the other stuff. People always, the twin cam. I'm like, bro, check it out. I got an 80-inch motor that's not even that built, and I smoke guys with M8s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's more the starter stuff's better. It's all that 94 and up stuff. I did a little video I did a video on my YouTube that went into that. Like, I don't do that, 88-inch. Like, bro, you think 80 to 88 inches, that much more? They went up 1 point in the compression. Right. The fucking oil pumps are hand grenades. This, that, and the thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no. It's the fucking primary not having the solenoid separate from the starter motor and all these leaks. Just, like, I work on these bikes. You know what I mean? So I just know when I bolt them together, just the way everything goes on. You don't got to finesse it as much. It just kind of goes together.
So you think like best case scenario, like if you're gonna do a twin cam FXR, just do it in like a pre-90 bike instead of like doing the. If
if you want a twin cam FXR, you get the early fucking motor, but the 03 to 05, 6 ones are okay, Right. The big thing is the cranks. You know what I mean? They're out. I've had legit bought this bike brand new. Guy's fucking 70 years old. Never beats on the bike. Oh, what's going on? I don't know, Tom. Let me see. Start taking things apart. Cranks out. Guy never beats on the bike. I know my whole life since I'm a little kid. Guy lives in my neighborhood. Bought the bike brand new. It's not a story. This is legit. This is real. This is a fucking fact. Right. Cranks out 12,000. Like, you see it all the time. These guys that build motors. I forgot who it was one time. They posted on Instagram. It was like a motor with like 1,200 miles. And the motor was out like 17,000.
Jesus.
Crazy. Total craziness. Like, and my thing is like, yeah, bro, I'm going in the fucking dealer with a shotgun. Like, I'm either getting a bike or I'm going to jail. There's no middle ground.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like, but whatever. Buy an old drivetrain, send the crank out, do a 95. 95s run like a motherfucker. Do a 95 kit. Maybe if you want to do the heads, send the heads out, have a little work done. That's it. That's all you need. Put a nice, good oil pump plate. The plate's really not a thing. It's that Girota gear. That way that oil pump works, Fords use it too. It's horrible.
Right,
it's not like the tooth mesh like a Evo. I wish somebody would just build an Evo. They do. They make those, but it's not like popping like the Evo bottom end with the twin cam top end. They're out there, but it's a whole...
Dude, you had said to me they're making fucking M8 top ends now for twin cams.
Yeah, so...
How crazy is that?
It's like a Shovolution type of thing. Yeah, where you put the cylinders on and then they accept M8 up top. I don't know. You know who FNA Eric is? FNA
down in Florida. Yeah.
He's building that. Is it Born Free? I think he's building that bike for Born Free. He's doing a shovel head with M8
with
heads.
With the M8 top. Yeah, that's wild.
You could do anything. But I mean, it's like Japanese bike technology. Multi-valve. You can run higher compression, shittier gas. All that shit comes into play, but I mean, you really don't need it. You got to cut those frames up a lot to fit an M8. I've never personally done one, but I've seen what it takes to do
That's why you're not going to see guys bolting them in like twin cams.
No.
Not that a twin cam, that I think to do it right, like we've been talking, it requires some chopping and welding.
Absolutely, you can't just
do them.
Listen, you can just bolt them in. You can take a...
My 2000's bolted in.
Yeah, you can take a...
To do it the best way, though, is the way you do it, I think.
I mean, listen, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Guys say that. I mean, listen, I do these the way I do them with the Dyna cross members type stuff. I do it because the Dyna kickstand is better than the FXR kickstand. The FXR kickstand wears this and that. But I understand some people got a nice bike. They don't want to cut it up. I immediately cut my bikes up. But yeah, I mean, you don't got to go crazy. You don't even even the 6-speed drivetrains. I'm doing one soon, like kind of for me, sell maybe, real big motor. But the 5-speed earlier twin cam drivetrains are fine. And like I said, you don't, in my thing, I don't do it for the motor. I don't do it for that horsepower I'm going to get. I do it because the primaries are better. You got that basically that 94 and up technology. 98 and up, so now if you're doing twin cam, 98, and people don't talk about this. Oh, 94, 94. I'm like, well, 94 and 97 still had a shit clutch. You got to use the tool to take it apart. 98 and up had the good clutch, where you could just take that motherfucker apart with like whatever the fucking 6 or 8 bolts, the whole clutch assembly comes apart. So now I don't got to carry some tool. That's my thing. Like road dog, biker shit. Like if I need to take my fucking clutch apart and you got a pre-98, I got to carry this fucking tool to decompress the fucking spring. Where if you got a 98 and up clutch, you just take it's like a Japanese bike. Just take the fucking bolts out and the whole clutch
assembly comes apart. Half-inch socket and we're good to go.
Yeah, it's not even. It's like it might be a 3/8 or a 10 millimeter, maybe 10 millimeter bolt, whatever. Just take all those bolts out, clutch is apart.
Yeah.
So all that shit that sucks on those fucking pre-90 bikes, which listen, like we were talking before we did this podcast, my boy Al, rest in peace, he had a bike, went 9s, spline shaft transmission.
Right.
Off the trailer, 923, 146. Al Winslow won the fucking, you don't believe me? Look it up. Won the All Harley Nationals, Maple Grove Raceway, Pennsylvania, like 6 years in a row.
On a factory.
Used to call him the Silver Bullet. Full head of gray hair, catch 000 lights all the fucking time. Could not fuck with Al. Took his bike off the trail of Cecil County, Maryland, the one time. 923, 146 out of his old Astrovan. Boom. Spline shaft transmission, 114-inch Shovolution, 5-inch stroke, 3 13/16 bore. Wow. That bike was a bad motherfucker. It's out. Guy in the Reading Motorcycle Club that's down the road from like Ole, he owns it now.
Damn.
Yeah, 114-inch Shovolution. Spline shaft transmission.
God damn.
So, people say all this shit. Like I said, I don't do it for the motor. I do it for all the other shit. The motor and like the little bit of horsepower you get when you do it right, it's like a bonus.
Right.
That's the like extra.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is cool shit. Dude, we got to cut this short though.
Let's do it.
We're actually out of memory card.
Wow.
Yeah. I put a brand new one. It was a little one. I don't know. We don't got to get into that. But yeah, we got 2 minutes left of memory card,
all right,
man. Where do people reach you?
They don't.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I work at Vax Moto in Park Slope,
just
Brooklyn.
Instagram, really, right?
Instagram's the only social media I got. I'm not super active on it, but I mean, people hit me up and whatever, I'm on it, And just hit me up on Instagram, Barefoot. And I got a YouTube thing, Barefoot. I do videos every once in a while. It's not like, I don't take any of that shit serious. It's here and there.
Right.
It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I just realized a question I should have asked you before. Whatever.
We could do a part 2.
We could do a part 2.
We could do a part 2.
Maybe in a few months. Who knows?
Whatever.
post-summer. See what we get into.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, dude. Anyways, yeah, thanks for coming on, and see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.